It's now time for Remember When with Uncle John. John Guess, Ouachita County's resident storyteller and local historian. Sit back now and enjoy a walk down memory lane as John recalls the days of yesteryear in his own unique way. You never know, some of it might even be true. So here's Uncle John, along with his trusty sidekick, Kelly Blair.
Back on Remember When with Uncle John. Well, we have done it. We have survived yet another Monday, rolling along on a Tuesday. And John, you said everywhere you look, you're not seeing ghosts, you're seeing Elvis.
Well, I went week before last. I went down and I was in El Dorado. I had to go by and see a brother Goza, used to be my preacher. He fell and broke his arm, and went by to see him. And I thought, well, I'm down there. I got some time to kill. I went by the Star 6 Cinema down there and went and saw the Elvis movie.
There you go.
And I thought it was excellent. I read a couple of reviews on it, and Elvis's stepbrother, Billy Stanley,
right,
said that it was 99.5% accurate. So I figured, well, I want to go see it.
I'm glad to hear that. I passed on watching it at first because I was very skeptical. I didn't think it was going to be any good. But if you say it's good, I'm going to go see it.
But today is July the 19th. And July the 19th, 1954, Elvis's first single debuted.
Hey, look at there.
That's All Right, Mama.
That's all right.
An old Billy Crudup song.
Yep, there you go.
And that right there started the whole ball to rolling.
It's all downhill from there.
And I took Pam to the doctor last week in El Dorado, and we had to stop. She had to go into a store down there, and I noticed the whole front of the store was covered in Elvis T-shirts.
There you go.
So, we're about a month away from what they call Elvis Week, the week that he died. In Memphis, be 45 years. It's hard to believe.
It's very hard to believe.
45 years this summer. But, Elvis is everywhere again. And, I've got a couple of sites on my Facebook account. Elvis Remembered. It's all these interesting stories about Elvis, things I didn't know,
Yep.
It tells stories from different people's perspectives and, fans and friends and people that dealt with him in the business world and other entertainers and just, lots of good stories about Elvis. And, I that's about as Americana as you get as Elvis.
Oh, I think so.
And I think, over the years it's kind of been overshadowed by, all the stories of his, the drug, all the drugs and being overweight and this, that, and the other and all that, But it's like lately it's just all been good stories that are interesting, informative, things from people's perspective on what a good and decent person he was. My take on things are the man lived 20 years in the spotlight.
Yep.
Where you can't go out and get a hamburger.
Nope.
You can't stop and go in the store and pick up a loaf of bread.
Right.
You can't stop and get a gallon of gas. You can't mow your yard. The things that we take for granted. The man had to live an unbelievable life.
Well, I know you know a little bit about the celebrity lifestyle, but that would be a pretty big adjustment for the rest of us to have to make. I mean, can't pick your nose, can't scratch your butt out in public, and, it wouldn't end up on the National Enquirer or something.
Bodyguards and lawsuits and lawyers and, the man gave away over 200 Cadillacs in his life.
Yep.
They
got dirty. He just traded it in for another one.
People that were out of nowhere that he would hear about that needed some help, or that he saw that needed a hand up. I mean, he gave them things. He was the single largest contributor to the Pearl Harbor Memorial in Hawaii.
There you go.
The single largest contributor out of his own pocket.
Well, that just goes back to his Southern raising.
And I mean, the man just done so much for so many people, and most of them were strangers. And but still it's a terrible price to pay when you can't go to church and worship and be left alone. You can't go out with your child and have a hamburger, a pizza, and be left alone. And that's a terrible life to have to live. It's one that a lot of people can dream of, but if you have to live that way, it's not so good. But I choose to remember Elvis in the good ways. I mean, I've always been and always will be a big Elvis fan. And of course, next month I'll tell my story about our trip to Memphis the day after he died, like I do every year.
Absolutely.
But, 1954, on this day, his first single debuted, and Dewey Phillips started spinning it on the radio, and it all took off from there.
That's all right, Mama. He had a pretty all right career from there. Hey, that's going to wrap up Remember When with Uncle John for today, but we do want to thank ProMed Ambulance Service, the Prescott Raceway, and Sherwin-Williams House Paint for being our wonderful sponsors of this show. Also,
JJ Lindsay down at the Shopper's Guide. If you got any printing needs, stationery, business cards, give old JJ a shout-out.
And, folks, if you have a hard time rolling out of bed and turning on the radio in time to catch us at 6:45 on Y95, you could always catch our podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, just about anywhere you can find podcasts, including YouTube. You can just go find Remember When with Uncle John. I guess we'll see you tomorrow, Johnny.
See you tomorrow, Kelly.
You've been listening to Remember When with Uncle John on Y95. This broadcast can be heard each weekday morning at 6:45 on South Arkansas's favorite station, Y95.